Hi guys, Stacy here. Welcome to the program, and today I am finally uploading this video, which I filmed back in the middle of March. This is the girls' haircuts I gave them right before we went on vacation, and it's actually kind of a very similar haircut on each of them. It's a bowl cut on each of them, but I do one, Josie's, I do with a shaved underpart, and Charlie's I do with just a close scissor cut on the bottom. So Josie's going first, and first I section everything off so that I have more control, and took my time and really got a nice straight line, because all that part that's hanging down there, we're just gonna cut it all off. Number one guard. Alright, look down. So I think the reason she wanted to do this is because she was just so tired of having so much hair and having to, the tangles on this girl's head are unreal. And so she wanted something easy for the summer, for the spring and summer, I guess, since this was March. And she's seen me do my undercut and she likes it. And so I said, yeah, we can do that. She also has had the side of her head shaved before. She went through this Spider Girl phase where Gwen Stacy has a shaved side of her head, so she had that haircut before, but that was before I did my channel, so I don't have it on here, but it was super cute on her. Does it feel weird?
Yes, it does.
Alright, go take a shower.
There's stuffing on my hair? Feels like there is. Okay, feels like there's a... Oh, that feels so weird. Feels like Bruce's hair. Like that.
Yeah. Look, if I turn you around, no one would ever know that under part is shaved.
Never.
Alright, go take a shower. And when you come back, we'll cut the rest. Alright, she has had her shower and she is back, and I'm going to spray her hair down with this smoothing shine milk. Yes, it's by Biolage, and I love it. It's my favorite detangler. Absolute favorite. Yeah, she loves it too. It really works great, and it smells amazing. So I'm going back over it and sectioning everything out again now that she's all clean and detangled. And we're going to cut this top part into a nice little angled to the front bowl cut. It's not exactly a bowl cut because it is very much angled to the front this time. In a few weeks we change that, but for now this is what she wanted, and so that is what she got. It's really more of an inverted short bob, but when you look at it, it looks like a bowl cut, so I just call it that. Technically, whatever. I can't think of a technically real scientific way to explain how to do this. This is where your artistic ability comes in, because you just kind of eyeball it. I start in the middle because it's an inverted cut, and that's how you usually start it, at your shortest point in the middle of the back, and then you angle forward. And it helps you do one side, and then you kind of mimic the other side based on that one. So you get that first side all complete just the way you want it, and then you go through in the other side and try to get it as close as possible to the previous side. With a lot of inverted bobs, you just pull it kind of straight out, pull everything to the back, and then when it falls forward, it is automatically longer as it goes forward. But with this one, you can't do that because it's so short. So that's what makes this more of a bowl cut. Okay, it is all coming together now. I understand why I call it this and why I don't call it inverted bob, because it is cut more like a bowl cut, because you can't, you're not able to use the typical inverted bob technique where you just pull everything back and then cut it and then it all falls forward in that lovely angle. So what I'm doing here is pulling the hair up and cutting that top layer at a slight angle, kind of a low angle, so that it has a little more roundness on the bottom. And what I mean by a low angle is I'm not pulling that hair way up high above her head and cutting those layers. I'm keeping it relatively low, and I'm kind of pointing my scissors out away from her head. And this gives it, you can see it a little better here where I'm there. That was a pretty good example of it. It's more of a 45-degree angle, than a just straight up 90-degree angle, and that makes the layers lower and helps it kind of round under rather than having a very pronounced different sets of layers. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but hopefully it does. But time to move on to the sides. So what I'm doing here is pulling down the bottom layer, and I'm just kind of matching it up to the bottom layer in the back. I kind of decided by looking at the front where I wanted to fall in the front. And then I take that very front cut and the line that I've created in the back and match them up. And then I pull down the next layer and do it again. The hardest part of doing the sides of the head like this is the ear. That ear is just right there trying to mess up your whole game. So try to work around it. Also, it's hard for me because I'm trying to do it at an angle, so I'm not standing right in front of the camera when I do it so I can show you guys. And then I'm also trying to keep my arm, because normally my elbow would not be sticking way up in the air like it is right now, but I'm trying to keep it out of the shot. And oh, look at that. It's starting to come together so nicely. Look how that naturally just bumps under there. It's just satisfaction. But we're not finished yet, guys. Got to keep going here. Finish up with my layers, my low layers. I'm holding it up high and pulling it down just so I have that little bump under. And then spin her around and we'll do the other side. This side is a little different. I think it's a little easier for me to do the second side because I can just match it up the front to the other side to make it even. In this case, we're making it even. You could also go through and make one side longer. That's cute. But for this particular haircut, we're going to make it even on both sides. And then match it up. It's just a game of matching everything up now. That front part to the perimeter in the back, we got to match all that up. And that's what we're doing here. So once I get my perimeter all straight, I pull it out and start adding back in that little bit of layer around the bottom. And I also go through and clean it up a little bit because I missed a few hairs there. And that happens. Just clean it up afterwards. It's not a big deal. All part of the process. All part of getting to where we want to go. You got to get through the ugly before you get to the pretty. That's just the truth of it. Although this girl is never ugly. Here we are doing some more of those low layers. I know you guys recognize these by now. Just to help it bump under. Now you do have to be careful with hair texture because if someone has a little more curl or wave in their hair, doing that low layer on there can actually make it kick out instead of go under. So if you have any extra wave or curl, you should probably just do it all one length while having it undercut, meaning having them look down so it's a little shorter on the very underneath. But for Josie, because she has such straight, thick hair, I mean, the struggle is real, guys. I don't know how she deals with this, but because of that, we're trying to get rid of as much bulk as we can and help it lay, cut it to where it lays just like we want it to so she doesn't have to style it. Because, I mean, you know, she's 9. She's not going to style her hair. All right, bang time. Time to cut those bangs. Or bang, or bangs. I don't know if there's singular or plural of that. Or fringe, if you're in England. I believe they call it fringe there, which makes more sense than bangs. I don't know where that word comes from. But we're cutting her bangs. So what I'm doing, back to what we were talking about originally. Did anyone else see that squirrel? Because, you know. Anyway, so I cut them straight across in the middle, kind of angled down on the sides so that they frame her eyes. She has such beautiful eyes. I guess I might be a little biased, but pretty much the prettiest eyes, I think, right there on that little girl. I mean, you can't tell right now because she's got them closed, but her and Charlie, prettiest, and Bruce. Her and Charlie and Bruce. All 3 of my kids have such gorgeous eyes. Anyway, you guys probably aren't watching this to hear me talk about how pretty my kids' eyes are, but to see me use these thinning shears on her bangs. These thinning shears, I normally put just a smidge of layer, but these bangs are kind of thin, so I'm just going to use a little thinning shear around the bottom in a vertical layer to keep it from being too blunt on the ends. And I'm also going to use thinning shears along these layers here to take off a little extra weight so they have a little more movement to them, so it's not too blunt and flat. For a minute that didn't sound like real words. Blunt and flat, yes. This works really well with her hair because it's so straight. It's not going to frizz or anything on her. Once again, depending on your hair texture, this could make your hair frizzy or tangly, which would totally defeat the purpose of why she's getting this haircut, because she wants to have less hair to deal with and wants it to be easy. Thinning the ends of her hair will not make her hair more tangly, but if your hair is wavier or even curlier, it might, so depending on your texture. So make sure to ask your stylist about that. They should know. Now I'm pulling up the top layer and going in with my thinning shears and thinning this out underneath just a little more than I did the top layer, because I want it a little thinner under here. This is the part where I want it to be kind of piecey right around the bottom there. You see that? Yeah, I like that. I still like it to be a straight, a line, a defined line. I don't want it to look like a rat chewed it off, so you have to be careful with the thinning shears, because that's possible. Ta-da!
Love it.
What do you think?
Love it.
Alright.
I'm barely gonna get any knots, or maybe none.
Alright guys, we're back, and it's about 3 days later, and it's Charlie's turn. Charlie will also be using the Smoothing Shine Milk by Biolage to detangle her sweet little tresses. I let her get all her wiggles out as much as she can while I'm combing her hair out. So I'll do yours kind of in the opposite order that I did Josie's. I trimmed her clipper part first, and we'll do your clipper part last. First thing we are going to do is to section it out so that we have all the control over this haircut. Oh my gosh, that sweet little face. Ugh, she kills me. And I took the little back nodule out of the chair so that I can actually get to the back of her tiny little precious head, her little noggin. I keep thinking I'm gonna get a booster seat to put in the chair or books or something, and then when I go to do her haircut, I'm like, no, I'll we'll be fine. And then, so by the time I actually do get something like that, she'll be outgrown and she won't need it. Now I'm really taking my time and straightening up the line here, because this undersection is the part that we're going to cut short. And the thing that is going to differentiate this haircut from Josie's is that this short part we're going to cut short with scissors. We're not going to clipper. That's where my hand keeps hitting the chair. That's what that was. Oh, bless her heart. I had to have her lean way down. But I'm cutting off all this bulk back here just to cut it, finger length on that under part, so it's not shaved. It's a little longer on the under part. Doesn't look quite as severe as the other one. And she didn't want the other one because she didn't want her hair to look like bubbies in the back. But Josie did want the other one because she likes it when Mommy does that to her hair. So there you go. It's all a matter of perspective. She's checking it back there, making sure it's not too short. Bless her heart. So I pulled it up vertical at first. So I made vertical sections and pulled them out and cut it off. And now I'm going over with scissors over comb and doing horizontal sections to check it. It's very typical for hair cutting. This is how we check. You go through one direction and then you go through the other, and anything that's not even will be sticking out and very noticeable at that point. So yeah, works pretty good. Look at that sweetie. Oh, she's blowing us kisses, guys. She's sending out the love into the universe. These are my trimmers. I'm just going to use those to straighten up that hairline in the back. Not too much, but I have to keep pulling her up. She keeps doing this, like pulling her shoulders way up so I can't get to her nape, or looking way down so I'm like standing upside down. I mean, that's not even really possible or a thing, but So I'm just using these trimmers just to clean up any of the wild long stuff and to make it a more clean looking hairline in the back. But I don't want it to be too straight and too boy haircut looking. I want it to look almost kind of natural, just real clean. And then I'm going to go through and do a little trimmer over comb just so that the bottom doesn't get thick right around the bottom edge. That just kind of smooths out that bottom edge so it kind of tapers up. So yeah, this method is a little more involved. Look, she's checking to make sure it's not too short, but she was pleased with it. But yeah, this method's a little more involved than just the clipper cut. And I could probably get about the same look if I used like a 5 guard on the back of her head instead of a 1, which I used on Josie's, which is really short. That's like 1/8 of an inch, I think, is what was left on Josie's head. But, so we'll pull down our first layer. I'm holding hers out a little bit, so it doesn't give it quite as much undercut, but I have to with her because of the way she is sitting and how much she moves. If I don't hold it when I cut it, I'm more likely to cut her because she moves so much, and it's more likely for it to be uneven because she moves so much. So I'd much rather cut myself than her, and I would much rather it be even and not have to go back over it 5 million times. Although these are things I would do to get that perfect little girl haircut. Sometimes you gotta make some sacrifices, you know? It's all part of the game. I don't know what game we're playing, but I cut my perimeter line along the bottom. Now I'm going through and cutting the layer. She's got to readjust. She's been sitting here so still and so good for so long. She's got to move every once in a while. So yeah, going through now and doing my layers. Already looking pretty good, feeling pretty good about this. Charlie also has very thick hair. It doesn't seem to be quite as thick as Josie's, but I don't know if it really is a little bit thinner or if that's just age, because Josie's 9 and Charlie's 5. They also might have the exact same thickness, just Charlie's hair might be a little bit finer, and Josie's is more of a medium coarseness. Alright, what we're doing now is I'm going to go through and straighten up that perimeter line. It kind of jumps way down there. That's a little too cray-cray for us at the moment. We want a little more subtle, little sweeter little girl haircut. We can do a sassy little girl haircut next time, but right now we want this little sweet one. Okay, so I'm going to blend my sides in now. Oh boy, this is the fun part. It's where it really starts to come together, guys. Oh man, I'm standing behind her, looking over her head. I don't know how this haircut came out at all because I'm standing at the most crazy angles during this. So I'm pulling down her hair and getting my nice straight line. This is the first side, so I don't have to match it up to anything yet. I just have to kind of decide where I want my perimeter line to be. And then I'm going to go through and do my layers. My low layers, you guys remember those from Josie's haircut. But for real, guys, that's what makes all the difference in this haircut. Those little low layers really help it just shape itself, and then you don't have to do anything. Alright guys, last side, here we go. Just matching it up. Remember this part? Ooh, I think it looks like I went way too low there, but I don't remember if I did or not. Yeah, I did. I had to go back. Yeah, I went too low there. I had to go back and fix it. You know, this was about 3 months ago when I actually did this haircut. So I don't remember much about actually doing this haircut. It's like I'm seeing it for the first time, along with you guys. But yeah, doing the other side. Getting a nice length on there. Cutting all our layers. Here we are pulling out our low layers again. And Charlie is doing so well for this. She is sitting so patiently. More patient than she really has a right to be, I think.
Hi, fans.
Did you say hi, fans?
I'm happy everybody's cheering for me. Charlie!
So here I'm just pulling all her hair up and cutting off any straggler, long, uneven bits at the very top, which when it falls will make it not have any horizontal lines in that haircut. It'll really soften that top layer. Not too much. I don't want to cut it off short enough on the top to where it's going to make it add a bunch more layer to it. Now I'm just going through and fine-tuning this, trying to make it as straight as possible, as much as she will let me. She's getting close to the end of her patience here. But I'm just really doing last minute fine-tuning, tune-ups. I don't know, a lot of tune in there. Look at that face. She is so done. She is done. Oh, I gotta trim her bangs though. So first I gotta section out her bangs, and then we gonna trim them. I don't know why I said gonna, but we're gonna trim them. Actually, we gonna cut them because it looks like they've all grown out pretty much completely. So we have to just recut these bangs brand new. So I sectioned them out, the triangle on the top of her head, and then start in the middle, straight line, There we go. I don't angle hers down quite as far on the sides. And I do take the vertical section on her bangs and cut a little bit off the top because her bangs are a little thicker than Josie's were. So that way that'll soften them up and she won't have that blunt Dumb and Dumber bang line. And I also go through with the thinning shears on hers. Really soften those up. Yeah, look at that. I think those look great. So that's about it, guys, with this haircut. Now I'm just blow drying it, and just with the blow dryer in my hand, because the way this is cut, you don't need a brush, a round brush, or anything like that. Just so easy. Oh, and all the kisses, all the loving coming your way. But perfect summer haircut. Easy, easy, easy. Easy to take care of, at least. I feel like I've been talking for 14 hours. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Love you so much, and see you next time. Bye, guys.